Welcome to the simpliHOM podcast, where we educate, inspire, and entertain real estate entrepreneurs seeking a casual and practical podcast. We're here to simplify your life and business.
You can find growth anywhere. And as long as you have an open mind and take those opportunities to learn, then you're going to grow from it.
The easiest thing too is just always being in your zone of genius. What you are passionate about and are good at.
The mindset shift is drastic when you're thinking of I am this person as opposed to I want to become or one day I will be is huge.
I feel like a lot of real estate companies have been putting a focus on themselves basically. Recently we've been putting it on the agents, and that's when our socials have been doing the best. It's become really personal and we've gotten a lot more traction. All right. Hey, HŌMies, and welcome back to the simpliHOM podcast. I am joined here today with Kyle Mann, our video connoisseur, Sean IQ, CEO.
You didn't get the first introduction. I always get last, so
I
it's
wanted
okay.
to spice it up.
You just spiced it. I felt left out. Now I know what it's like to be like Kyle.
Now he's feeling extra spicy.
And then last but not least, Grant Brotan on the ones and the twos. And I'm Sarah Wiley Armstrong, and I am going to be the leading this train today.
The hostess with the mostest.
Hostess with the mostest, yes.
Knowledge,
so
anyway.
We're a little scattered because we just had some technical difficulties, but we are rolling now.
I don't remember them.
Me neither.
Short
I don't know what you're
memory.
talking about.
Takes a
Right.
short memory to be successful.
That is why we're not wearing headphones today. You get to see all of our awesome
You get to see our
hair.
beautiful ears.
I thought it was
You can see my
uncomfortable.
curly hair now.
Yeah,
Because
it's real.
it's real.
Whoa.
I'm excited. I got to leave my earrings in. That's a big thing.
Oh, you get to take them off for the headphones?
Okay, I don't take them off,
so
but they're
unhide
like,
them.
Yeah.
You should show the world your hearing aid.
Show them off.
I don't have a hearing aid. Everyone always says, so I have my daith pierced, and everyone always thinks it's a hearing aid. More
What's it
than
called?
Really?
Daith.
Dave.
So it's like inside your ear.
Learned something new
Google
today.
it.
Yeah, write it down. This piercing is called the Dave.
It's supposed to help with headaches. If you've ever heard of the
Oh.
headache piercing, that's what that is.
So it's like a pressure point kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I need one.
Will say I don't think
Left
it has
arm's numb.
helped.
It hasn't helped.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's cute, except when everyone thinks it's a hearing aid, which there's nothing wrong with hearing aids.
Let me
but
see. I've never.
Can you?
But when you're 20,
hear me?
I had someone who was in charge of one of my internships tell me at the end of the internship when he found out it was an earring. He said, "I've been making sure that nothing was in front of my face the entire internship." He said, "I've been talking louder."
Yes.
Oh,
This
man.
man's been shouting the
amazing.
entire time because he thought that's what I had. So,
Yeah, I
anyways,
I might get one for
Funny.
Paige though.
drama.
I'm shooting shots at everybody. I
Right.
apologize.
Sean is in a shots fired mood.
I'm in one.
The last like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's
it's-
on fire.
nonstop.
It's that growth mindset.
Yeah, growth.
Speaking of mindsets, we're going to
Ooh,
be talking
good
about.
segue. Like a
Oh. She
We're
learned
going
from
to be
you.
talking about the poor
I gave you props.
mindset.
I just gave you props.
Boys,
man.
the host is speaking.
Sorry.
It's okay. We're going to be talking about the poor mindset, and sometimes it's referred to as a poverty mindset, but I wasn't really crazy about the way that sounded.
I mean, it means the same thing. So
I mean, but I feel like one has more of a negative connotation, and I think
both pretty negative.
both pretty
Double
negative, but I feel
negative.
like
Equals a positive, no?
true that. One, I feel like you can build off more. It's not technically a way of life, but a mindset that kind of directs your way of life. And so I was just going to go around the table and kind of see what you boys all think in your words, what the poor mindset is, poor mentality, however you want to define it, what it means to you. Give it to me, serve it up.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Oh,
look at me like
This
you wanna
is
go
a
first?
deep one.
Yeah.
I don't
It's a
even
deep
know if I
one.
should
Yeah.
talk much because I'm gonna get myself
And I
in
can
trouble.
tell you, so I did some research and I had some
Oh,
papers
look at
here.
that. Screenshot.
Look, this is more because the,
Printed to edge.
the quotes, we'll do some rapid fire later if we have time.
Oh, boy.
And I'll save that for later. I won't give you all
Oh,
the
we're doing a
dates.
game.
Yeah, so
Sounds like a game.
but
Match this
the,
quote with this mindset.
the money engineer kind of describes the poverty mindset as a belief system that life is full of scarcity. It's a mindset that things are hard to get, that money's hard to earn, and that there isn't enough out there for us.
Yep,
So
summed it up.
Yep.
All right,
does
next
sound-
topic.
That's a good one.
that does sum it up, but you guys have all had different ways of life. Brett, You had some tough years. Sean had some tough years. Kyle had some tough years, but they were all very different. And you've heard about them here on the podcast before, but I want to hear how your experiences have shaped that mindset and just looking back now at your life, what it means for you.
Yeah. So for me, it's like the poor mindset. I never looked at it as like a poor versus like a wealthy mindset kind of thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, and what I have learned is the times that I did struggle, the times I had that quote unquote poor mindset was the fact that I felt like I couldn't make money, or I didn't know how to make money, let alone when I did have money, what did I do with it? So I had the mentality of, and I lived this for a long time of, I can't take the money with me, so spend it. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I still believe some aspect to that, but knowing that money goes really quick, I didn't realize how your mindset about money and the way you live. I didn't realize that until I went through tough times. Yeah. Right, I didn't realize that, man, like I was thinking all this negativity or thinking that, oh, this person has this, why can't I have that? Oh, I'm not where I wanted to be at 25. And that just led to thoughts of like depression and stuff like that, because I envisioned myself being a millionaire by 25.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do enough to be a millionaire.
Attrition by comparison.
Yeah. So I spent too much time worrying about others and what they were doing and what they've accomplished versus like getting my head out of my butt. You're welcome, Grant.
Dang, I'm impressed.
Told you I could do it.
We're still gonna have to put an E though.
Yeah, right. And really focusing on what I'm doing and what I can do and the things that I can actually control.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was, I think there's a difference, and Rich Dad Poor Dad alludes to this, but the difference between poor and broke. Mm-hmm. Like broke.
Huge difference.
We had that the other day where somebody said, somebody was saying, I'm like, I think it was Sage, maybe. I don't know. But where I'm saying is like having the conversation of broke and poor.
Yeah.
Broke is correct.
Broke is a scenario, like a time in, or a segment of time within your life or whatever it may be. Anyway, so broke is just totally different. But I think the poor mindset all goes back to a lack of financial literacy. For me personally, it didn't change. My parents didn't teach me about money. They kind of had the same philosophy. It's like, I'm taking all the money with me. Yep. Like, I'm going to spend all my money before I die.
My parents are still like that.
Yeah, my parents are still too.
They just make a lot more money.
Yeah, they have more. They're going to take a lot more to the grave.
Yeah.
So I think it came with financial literacy and knowing that, one, there's no shortage of money in the world, and
get yours.
Yeah, one of my mentors says when you have a downturn, right, money just changes hands.
Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah.
It's all money ever does anyway.
Yep.
So, it wasn't until I read the first book that I read to get to financial literacy was Rich Dad Poor Dad. So that was like the first mindset shift that happened. And then obviously surrounding yourself with people that also know. And when you meet people and like when you know about it, making money becomes the possibility of making money becomes a lot easier and a lot more possible. And the more you're around it and you're like, wow, my whole life, I thought that it was it still is a fight and a struggle for money, but not as hard as you think. It's not as out of reach as you may believe before you open your mind to this abundance mindset.
Mm-hmm.
If you really break down, like, okay, you want to be a millionaire or wealthy, what is that number to you? And if you really, like, say it's $1 million, you really break that down into how much you need to make a day. And in a month, it's really not that big of a number.
Mm-hmm. Or even if it is a big number, there are people that have done that, and and that's the education. You don't even know that that's a possibility. And when you're poor and when you don't have money, whether it's a specific time in your life or if it's been a lifetime thing, if you've never known anything different, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So you don't know that until you put the time in to learn more about it. And I think it's all an education thing from the get-go. I know we talk like, you can over research, you can over analyze, but I think especially step from 0 to 1 when you're first learning, being around people that make money, reading about people who make money, like that whole thing, being exposed to the possibilities is.
And the people you surround yourself with is the key. Like
I truly
when you're broke, you're hanging out with broke people. When you're poor, you're hanging out with people who are poor. And there's a significant difference, I agree, between poor and broke. But to me, it's all habits and thought patterns. And those thought patterns lead to actions that fall within the habits that are in one of those two mindset categories, essentially. What I've personally found is if you focus on money, you're never going to have any. And if you focus on people, you'll have all the money you need. I can't honestly tell you the last time I thought about money from a personal side. Like, I'm just like, how can I help more people be successful? How can I help this person get here, help this person get there? Because when you're focused on that, you don't even look at your bank account. You just like let whatever happens happen. But there's a lot of it is the wiring. My turning point was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker. That was my, like, when I realized that we're indoctrinated for better or worse because of our parents' lack of education towards a specific topic, where, you know, you sit at dinner and they say, you better eat all that because there's starving kids all over the world. That is a lack mindset that it doesn't exist. Right. And the reality is there's plenty of food. There's plenty of money. You got to understand the abundance principle. And so that was like, I started to rewire myself. And one point I want to ensure that I make is you can shift to a rich mindset and it still take years to come out of broke.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like you've got the habits, you've got the actions. Without those on a consistent basis, you're going to stay broke.
Yeah. The poor versus broke. I think poor is a mindset, broke is a season.
Yeah.
Right.
Comparing yourself doesn't help either. If you're looking at somebody who's a millionaire and you're sitting there in your house and you can barely afford rent, I mean, it's really discouraging if you're looking at somebody like, I'll never get there. And that's that you have to have the patience. Was it today you were talking maybe at orientation about, I don't know. It could have been somebody else. I could be making this up. I don't even know.
He dreamt about it.
Patience. Like the patience is going to be one of the biggest strengths that you're going to have when you're trying to transition from a poor mindset into one of abundance. I think that it takes time.
Shift habits, get consistent.
It's been 10 years since the first time I read a finance book, like a book about money. It's been
same with me. It's been 11. It was 2011 when I first made that first step into shifting my mindset to get into a better one. And I still don't think that I'm even in the best one, right? Like it's constantly growing, constantly evolving, but I'm not in the one I was in.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the rich mindset is, I have the list right here, but focusing forward, and a lot of what you guys said with the poor mentality, and this list has it as well. And by the way, this list is from The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I know Kyle has talked about. It's his jam. He loves it. That's his book.
If you shift to Dave Ramsey, I'm cutting you out.
Yep.
Oh, don't even get me started.
He's an idiot.
Don't get me started.
It's just unattainable with that. But the poor seems to focus a lot on self. What do you guys think about that? Just like a focus on self.
Well, I think the poor focus on all the material stupidity, right? Like, gotta have the newest iPhone, gotta have the newest PlayStation, gotta smoke all the cigarettes, gotta drink the case of beer every night. Like, it's a consistent bad decision.
They want the rich lifestyle, but won't give up the bad habits.
Champagne life on a beer budget, right? Like that's their mentality. And it's not, I'm not bashing the individual for making those choices, but again, it goes back to who are they surrounding themselves with? Because when I was at that point in my life, I mean, 2009, I was living in Louisville. I was flipping couch cushions looking for coins so I could go buy bags of rice-a-roni so I could feed me and my girlfriend, and I would make sure she ate all the food and I would eat whatever was left over. The people I was hanging out with were her dad, who was an alcoholic. Her mom was a pillhead. She wasn't all that successful either, and nobody I was around had the right anything. They didn't have the right mindset. They didn't have the right habits. They were all, hey, let's go out, make enough money to go get hammered at the club and party all weekend, and then go back and do it again the next week. And that is a dangerous place to live.
Yeah, I lived that for a while, right? When I talk about
12 years, right?
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, and one of those podcasts that I told, like, when we were talking about the red pill, blue pill, those are the years. Yes, it there's
Red pill.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. Let's.
I roll.
Yeah. So those years weren't necessarily so. Yes, I did learn a lot looking back, but I also wasted and we talked about regret those years of my life. Right. Whether, I know you shouldn't regret. I won't regret that on my deathbed. Right. But in like looking back, I'm like, oh man, like those are 12 years I'll never get back. But I lived that lifestyle until it took me to rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you think you were that person for people in those 12 years?
Yeah, I was
like the person you were.
I was
for sure.
I was the same.
Yeah,
absolutely. When Kyle and I met, that was our entire life.
That was us. Yeah.
Go out, get hammered,
Yep.
do whatever we do, sleep on your friend's couch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
checking the Kroger change. In the automated, like the self-checkout, I would check for change in the
I lived in
checkout.
Gainesville, Florida for probably 8 months on a couch because I didn't want to leave and I wanted to stay there and party more.
In a frat house.
No, definitely not. Might as well been.
Well, and also too, I think if you're somebody, well, not if you're somebody, but I think we all know this person. And this is I took a personality test and I realized I'm not as empathetic as I thought.
It took you that long to figure it out.
Oh, come on. Well, I thought it was gonna be more because I
Fired.
like telling stories. So I thought like getting to know people. But anyway, so I maybe a little harsh than normal, but so I have a hard time having sympathy or empathy for people who wake up every morning and complain about their way of life, but don't do anything to fix it. Mm-hmm. I think if you decide and you actively decide that you're not going to do anything about it, you forfeit your right to complain about it. Now, obviously, there's some things that you can't control, but there's a lot that you can control. And if you start there and start making you take the steps necessary to get to the point where you want to get, then.
So I used to be that same exact way. And then I hit rock bottom after having that mindset. And that was what I needed to shift to a place of empathy for those people in that situation. Because like I used to, I understand. But like I would be the guy that I would like get in the line at like Walmart because that's the only place I could go. And I would be almost just a jerk to myself about the individual in front of me and be like, oh God, they this or they that. Instead of looking at them and going, all right, so they've lived a challenging life. Yes, that more often than not, they've brought an element of it onto themselves. But there are other things that like, what's the backstory that got them in that one place in the first place, right? Like one of the things, I was talking to Thomas one time about this, and for anyone listening, Thomas is one of my business partners, best friends. And we were talking about how do people get to that place in life. And I was like, one thing that I would like to do, and nobody would ever believe that this was real, I would go with all of you. I would like to go find homeless people and hookers and find out how they got there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I want to talk to them
that's
about
like
their story.
Part of my vision, life vision.
Yeah.
Not what that, but then obviously I said it on another, like my goal in life is to have that homeless shelter that rehabilitates people.
Right.
But starting with that.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things, like it's so easy. And I've kind of felt it over the years. Like, I think you can swing too far into both mindsets, right? You can swing really far into the poor mindset where you're stuck there forever. And then you can swing really far into the rich mindset where you can't even remotely relate to the people on the other side. And that's where empathy is lost, in my opinion, right? Because the ultra elites, they don't care
about you and I.
because they don't even think about it, right?
Yeah, they haven't felt that.
They haven't felt it in forever.
Yeah.
Sometimes ever.
Yeah.
Truthfully. And so it's one of those things, like I always want to stay humble and attached so that I can relate to that individual and say, hey, listen, this is what worked for me. I'm not guaranteeing that this is going to be the path that works for you, but I can guarantee you that if you start shifting to think this way or take this action or form this habit, that you're going to see progress out of the situation that you're in. But then the next key is they have to want out of the situation that they're in. So that's the hardest part.
For sure. So there's actually someone on YouTube that does what you're talking about, right? They go out and all they do is just interview homeless people. homeless individuals on the streets, and that's how the end goal is like, how did you get there? Now, of course, they always only air the ones that are like, you know,
compelling.
Well, it's like there was one, he had a PhD. He had multiple six-figure like career, and it was just one bad decision that he made. Wasn't addicted to drugs, alcohol, nothing. One bad decision led him to the streets, and he just couldn't get out. Right? He was in a position that nobody would give him a chance. And so it's like certain aspects of that. Like for me, it took me a long time to get out of that mindset. Like, I mean, it was 6 or 7 months of couch hopping, right? Living out of that orange duffel bag that you all now have seen. So for me, it, you know, for everyone has a story, and it's not necessarily like, oh, you can go, they're poor because they have a poor mentality. No, like it is circumstance.
Sometimes circumstance wins.
Yeah. And I want to make it very clear. I threw that out there as a blanket statement without
I'm not,
the nuance.
I'm not
very
saying
empathetic.
I'm not saying you're not empathetic. No.
I'm very empathetic.
No,
But
I was
That's
just
why you
I was
hesitated
just
to
sharing,
say it.
I
got you.
Yeah.
I was just simply sharing the part of my life where I wasn't empathetic.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing I regret being judgmental towards people who I never took the time to hear their story.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's funny you say that too, because I've switched my mindset a little bit. So I wouldn't say I was obese, right? I was 260 pounds at one point, very large, and so I catch myself every once in a while, and this is like a humble. Something you have to humble yourself with too. It's like, you know, it's the same mindset of somebody that can't lose weight.
Yeah.
Right. Not all the time. It's because what they eat or what they put in their bodies. Sometimes it's hormones, sometimes it's whatever. And so I catch myself, like, perfect example. I watch 600 Pound Life, and I'm like, I just don't get it.
And then you remember.
Yep. It took me being in and how hard it was for me to lose that 100 pounds. Well, 80 pounds.
Do you remember when you were so broke that you can't even imagine? Like, you were at a point in your life that, like, if someone handed you a $20 bill, it would be totally foreign to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, they get so deep in the trenches of their day-to-day life of survival, whatever that is to them in that situation, that they can't even remember.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what I was like when I was 300 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever. Same financially.
Going back on it, like what you were talking about, like surrounding yourself with people. So I think that has to be something that you do. Even if it's not, you don't know anything yet, the first step can be like, be around somebody who does.
Yeah.
And that person, obviously, like it can be a book, somebody who writes a book, it can be an author, it can be a podcast, it can be an actual person.
Grant Cardone was that for me.
Nice.
Facts.
Tim Ferriss was that way for me.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm trying to do is that, you know, obviously some people just never get taught, especially when it comes to financial literacy. So my in-laws, they've been some of the hardest working people that I've ever met their entire lives. And trying to tell the story without giving up too much information, but they are about to come into some money. They sold a property that they owned outright. So they're about to be inundated with money. They're about to receive a lump sum money. And never before have they ever had to manage that. It's not their fault. It's just not, their parents didn't teach them. My parents didn't teach me, and no one has been around to teach them or show them anything else. So what I've tried to do is, it's been a while since I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but I've gone through and we've started a book club, and we're going to meet every week, and we're going to read a chapter at a time. And we're going to go through it, and we're going to sit down and as a family, and we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about like things you agree with, things you don't agree with, things you don't understand, to hopefully create that environment of abundance and the fact that there's so much to learn. Just open up the window, at least like step one, like the mindset shift. I just realized that's a thing I say all the time. Mindset shift. Yeah, it's I always have a hard time saying it, but I think if you're somebody who does have a poor mindset or feel like this is kind of where you are in life and you're not going to be able to do anything other than that, obviously there's a lot of factors that go into there. But if you're able to find some people that want to grow with you or find somebody who's where you want to be, it's the philosophy of finding a mentor, find somebody who's somewhere you want to be and reach out to that person, read about them. You know, I don't know.
Verifiable though, because
Yeah,
there's no
that's-
shortage of
yeah.
posers out there who claim
100%,
they're
yeah.
successful. And they're
Don't find an Instagram
total
account
losers.
with some guy posting
His Lambo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
That's really creative, by the way. I like that.
Oh,
I don't know that I would be that dedicated to it personally. Like, I would have a hard time being like, hey, we're going to read a chapter together each week, because I probably wouldn't read my own chapter.
75
But-
Hard is helping with that. That's my 15 minutes of
that's
reading.
good.
let's go.
That's good.
To go to your point though of the book club and like reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's got to go. So it's the same thing, like you said, a mindset shift that has to start, but it has to be a lifelong thing, right? Because John Eldredge said this at the and I wrote this down, and it's, I don't know why it hit me, and I'm like, wow, that was powerful. So he said, I've been broke and I study every single day along these lines. I study all the time. I study real hard because I've been broke and I never want to be broke again.
It's hard work to keep it.
Yes.
Getting it's easy.
Yep.
Keeping
So-
it's hard.
And then he went on to talk about the market and stuff like that here. And I'm like, that's somebody I want to listen to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So but it's somebody who has a lot of money. He knows what it's like to not have money. And it doesn't just end there of like, oh, I know I'm good at what I do. I know. No, I study and study and study because I never want to go back there.
And that's what it takes to be at the top of your game.
Yeah. And that's
I mean,
why you
you
talk
have to
about,
put in the work.
you said, oh, I commend you for, learning and doing all, because I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to get your car repossessed, all that. So from
The other day, I was trying to remember how many times I've had a car repossessed. I was like, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
For me, it only took one for
Well,
me.
some of us take bigger risks, Brad.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
For sure. So it's like,
You got Grant with that one.
hey, Grant, we forgot to
We need the
introduce you.
Grant Cam.
Yeah.
No. Oh, man. Yeah, we got to do the Grant Cam.
Yeah. Next episode.
Yeah.
I was about to say, this is episode number 3 where we're like, man, we really
Grant
need a
Cam.
Grant Cam.
I mean, like way up where it like looks down at him.
Ooh, yeah.
So that's why I study. And no, I don't always study financial things.
Right.
I
Personal, professional, financial growth. Yeah.
For me right now, I'm in a kick of like leadership, growing, especially the role that I'm in. Like I can get better at those things, and so that's the kick that I'm in right now, because that'll always lead back to me making more money, right?
And I'm reading Story Brand.
It's a good one.
And also, so one of the things
Really good.
that's encouraging for somebody who maybe is in that state where they're not where they want to be financially. You don't know it until, I think Gary Vee was like one of the first people to do it. They did the yard sale flipping, and it gets parodied a lot. But there's a what's his name? Pena? Nope. I don't
Something
know.
along those lines.
Something along those lines.
Some guy with a
Older
he's-
dude, right?
No. So
No?
different guy. Yeah,
Oh,
it's not that guy.
Okay.
He's got like a really radical like comb over with blue hair or something. He does real estate. I don't know. I can't remember his name. But he started his with couch flipping.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And literally, if
And
you
now he
can,
does real estate investing.
So I know that's hard, especially with somebody who doesn't have a dollar to their name.
Yep.
But you can find free stuff and sell it for $10 to $15.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
went from like barely being able to buy the first one to making 8, 10, 15,000 a month and then a week, and
He bought a truck, and then he started just
flipping
couches.
couches.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Undercover Billionaire, baby.
Yeah.
I love that TV show. Was fantastic.
Yo.
So I do want a quick, just rapid fire of how you overcame. I know some of y'all touched on it, but how you kind of switched mindsets, and maybe tell me a number. So if poor mentality is 0, rich mentality is 100, where you see yourself on the scale as of now. I know you talked about sometimes the empathy, sometimes falling in the middle, and I just want to hear where everyone thinks they fall. You could say 100. I'm not going to judge you. You can say 0.
I'm not. No, if
I'm
anybody's
not
at
gonna
100
judge
at this table, you better have $1 billion in the bank.
Yeah.
Because see, for me, it's hard to gauge where I'm at. Like, I've never really super duper struggled ever with the
Well,
poor
we can make that
mentality
happen
or-
if you want to try it out.
No, thank you. But I've
Hold her
just-
pay for a couple months.
I'd be in a silly, goofy mood.
Yeah. She wouldn't show up.
Right. But
She'd be like, you can interview me on the street.
Right?
How'd you get here? Well,
I'm about to buy a house, and I'm going to lose the house already if we keep this up.
all right, we're kidding.
No, but I've just been blessed to be around a bunch of crazy dudes that just have
Yep.
that have experienced that, and I've seen it with my family and stuff. So I've just been able to learn from the people around me, and I think Sean's right. You are who you hang around, and so I've just been blessed to be able to surround myself with people who are encouraging and have experienced it and have been willing to share their experiences. So I just want to hear that from you guys. What got you out, and kind of where you think you fall in the scale?
Yeah. So for me, what got me out is, and you guys have probably heard this if you listen to the podcast, was the day that my car got repossessed and my wife found, at that time we were just dating, she found out, and the way that she reacted to, all right, what are the F are you going to do about it, right? Like, so in that moment, I knew I had to make a change, and the first change I made, and you talked about it earlier, is who you hang out with. I didn't cut them out completely, but I stopped hanging around my best friends.
Yeah.
Stopped.
Where are they today?
Same spot they were at.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, love them to death, but they're all in the same spot that they were at, working 9 to 5s, going and worrying about where's the next vacation they're going to go take to go drink, and where's the next bar they're going to go to on the weekend. Some of them are starting to get out of that phase. I mean, we're 35 years old, so hopefully.
But it's so cyclical.
Yeah, but
easy
it's
to stay in it.
Yep, it's so easy to stay in that. Oh, you coming over for the New Year's party? You coming over for this? Like, that's one of the reasons I decided to leave Florida. Get away from everyone.
So do you think you could be a better, I'm not going to say, do you think you could do a better job at influencing them? But kind of, do you think there's some wisdom you could speak into them?
People like that aren't going to listen until they're ready.
Correct. Absolutely. It's just, it somebody has to hit rock bottom for them, or something has to happen. Some sort of drama or aha moment, or trauma or aha moment. Yes.
I mean, drama too.
Yeah,
Drama.
for sure.
Trauma.
Has to happen for them to really want to change, and I think they have to want to change before you can influence them in any way.
Because, I mean, they've seen, obviously, the shift and change in you, and that speaks volumes.
Yep.
But like you said, if it hasn't happened, then
Absolutely.
not gonna
And I have a couple really successful friends too. But yeah, you can't, the ones that I was hanging out with, and listen, they're successful in their own right and they're happy. So I definitely don't judge. I just didn't want that lifestyle anymore. I wanted more for myself and my wife. And I just couldn't keep going through that.
Yeah, I don't think you have to explain that. Like,
no,
you want more for yourself.
Yeah.
What's your grade?
Yeah,
my grade,
what is your
like
grade?
70.
70?
Yeah.
What do you think could bump you up, or do you feel comfortable at the spot you're at?
No,
because like
I
we
think
said, too far one direction can be
Yeah,
dangerous.
I think 70, because I still do have a little fear of going back to where I was at. Right. So I don't think that I'm to the point where it's like, oh man, you're gonna hit rock bottom again. But I have gone through, and I said this again on another podcast. Like I last year wasn't a tough year, but I did make a couple bad decisions business wise that cost me a lot of money, and I teetered on that. Oh man, like where's the money gonna come from, kind of thing. And then obviously, but that's why I'm at a 70, because now I know. All right, I made this decision. Now I have to fix it, and it takes a little bit to get back to it.
Yeah.
And now I'm back on track, but that fear still lingers there a little bit, and until I get that gone, until I hit that number in the bank account that I'm comfortable with, it'll always be there, I believe.
Sometimes a little fear never hurt anyone.
I mean,
But I mean,
there are
to
healthy
an extent,
fears.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest with you, at 32 years old and what we have today, company and everything, like I still find myself, you probably find yourself doing this too. You'll walk through the house at like 1 o'clock in the morning and everybody's asleep in their bed, and you go, you're doing this. Like, you got this. You're right. It like never goes away. Yeah. I mean, it's been like, you know, my youngest is 7, and it's like, it never goes away. The like, all right, breathe, you know, everything's okay.
We're doing it. We're figuring it out.
For me, I don't I've never had that
Well, you don't have
moment.
kids, so
Correct.
it's different.
That's
when
what
you
I'm
have
saying.
that, that's why.
Glances over at his dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Yeah.
We're here.
You got wet dog food. You're doing it.
My dogs are eating.
Gourmet chow.
So are my cats.
They're eating the cats.
So but I don't think I've.
This is the second time we've gotten cramp.
She's in a silly, goofy mood
He
today.
is in a silly, goofy mood.
I don't know if I've absolutely allowed myself to feel that though.
Yeah, you
Like
should.
being vulnerable now.
You
Like
should.
I don't know if I've allowed myself, because that fear is so deep sometimes. Like I struggled.
Yeah, me too. Clearly.
No.
3 repos
Yeah.
and a partridge in a pear
And you-
tree. I got
yeah.
all of it.
Yeah. So like, that time is so dark for
Yeah.
me that I don't know, because I know that I'm not where I want to be. And Camille Rose, right? One of my favorite people in the world. She asked me one time, like, I was having a lot of anxiety. It was like, man, I don't know what's wrong with me. And she said, and I think it came back to like that fear, and we got down to it, and it was, I'm not where I want to be. And she's like, all right, well, what would you say to your, 26-year-old Brett? And for me, that is like, I could say, oh, this is what you should do. Like everything's going to be fine. It is what it is. You just got to keep pushing. But there's still that deep, like, I don't know how to let it go. So I've never,
I think it's one of those things you need to like experience.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because it is one of those moments where you can kind of like pat yourself on the back and have this moment of like gratitude of where you are as compared to where you were X years ago, or maybe not that long ago.
Yeah.
And just an acknowledgement of how much you've grown and improved. Because for me, like I go upstairs, I tuck my kids in a bed, and I'll just kind of, look at them sleeping and be like, 1 in 6 kids in America doesn't have a bed to sleep in.
Yeah.
That sucks. How can we make that better? Well, be better, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, for me to just realize that, 3 repossessions, 2 evictions, 1 bankruptcy later, I'm here. Like, and just when you go through that moment, like you feel like your entire world is crashing down, right? You're like, oh my God, like it's the end of it all. I'm screwed forever. You're not.
Yeah.
It's a blip. It's a little moment in time.
I heard a quote from a climber who he climbed 14 of the tallest mountains in 7 months. It's a world record by
I mean, I'm
18
tired
years.
for him.
He did it faster than he said most of the time when people think that they're absolutely screwed, he didn't use the word screwed. When they think that they're absolutely screwed, they're only like 75% screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that perspective is,
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
score do you think you'd give yourself, Kyle?
so I was thinking about this while you guys were talking. And I think it's hard for me because I feel like that scale reaches to infinity, because as you grow, you find out that you know less and less. The more you know, the more you don't. And I think, so I can only go off of how I feel my progress is. And I would say that I'm not, when I walk around my house, it's not where I want to be. But what I do know is that I'm heading the right direction.
Yep.
I know that I'm doing the things every day that help, like I'm better than I was yesterday. And for me, walking around and looking at the kids and knowing that everyone's taken care of, and I know that like after everybody goes to bed, I'm going to be working for a few more hours. Or when I wake up in the morning, I haven't been as good, but when I'm on a good schedule, I'm up
75
2
hour,
hours
baby.
before.
You are now, bro.
When I was
You
up
have no
2 hours
choice.
before everybody else, like there was that. I think, and this is a personal opinion, I think men specifically, I think we have this sense of purpose that we need to sacrifice for something worthy. We sacrifice ourselves for something that is greater than ourselves. And I think for me, in my purpose and my fulfillment, I get that from knowing that I'm sacrificing my time and my own personal wants and desires to make sure that tomorrow is better than yesterday or today. And I think that's, if I could kind of measure anything, I think I'm heading in the right direction. I'm definitely much better today than I was a long time ago. So I know that I'm heading the right direction.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean?
So should we just say 50%?
No, I mean,
4 out of 5 stars. That's a good place to put
That's
it.
a good one.
4 out of 5 stars.
There we go. See, she's a host for a reason.
4.1.
You know,
Yeah.
Hostess
with the mostest.
with the mostest.
I forgot the first question.
just kind of what got you out of it, but you don't have to answer that kind of
Oh,
what your score is
Go ahead.
because we're running out of time. So.
Okay.
Go ahead.
what
You
got me out of it?
got 2 minutes.
It was so. My mom got me a job when I didn't have one, and she's like, just take this job. And I took the job, and then I started paying off the debts that I had, like the credit card, the medical, all that stuff, and that started to feel good. I'm like, oh, money can fix certain problems. And then,
Yeah, completely. Like 30 grand.
and as that built the confidence, and then from there, with that confidence, I was able to say like, okay, I quit my job and I get to start on the greater purpose, the business. So I think that's probably the transition period, because before then I had the mindset, but not the money.
Yeah.
I had an income problem.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I got out of it through perseverance and consistency. That was it. I mean, I didn't quit when I should have every single time I got knocked down. And then once I got on a path that made sense, I just put consistent action every single day, every single night. I mean, when I started in real estate, I would respond to leads that would come in online at 1 o'clock in the morning. I would text them like 101. They'd be like, is this a bot? I'm like, nope, just the greatest realtor you've ever met. Yeah. And like, that was just the way I took it. I mean, it was the only thing I could do because I had no plan B.
Yeah.
And at that time, like, it was stressful, and it was like $400 a month in rent and like a $360 a month car payment. Those were it. And I was still on food stamps. And so it's like, you don't even have that big of an obligation, but when you have a family, it all feels like a massive obligation. So I would probably put myself in the 70-ish range, perhaps. I mean, I've got a lot to grow still, but I've grown a significant amount.
Yeah. So we have 70-ish, 70, and 4 out of 5 stars.
Yes.
Which is 80, actually.
Oh
Yeah. Hey.
yeah. As far as like on how good I feel about my progress, I'd say like
80%.
Yeah.
Well, you should give us 5 out of 5 stars when you're rated.
Oh, golly.
Segue queen.
Hey, but we're gonna have to head off. We have meetings. We have growth to be done. So we're gonna head out. But like, subscribe, watch, share, do all of the things. Follow us on our socials, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you later.
Bye, y'all. Hey guys, it's Swy. Thank you for joining us this week, and we really hope you got some useful information and we made your day a little bit better. If you're interested in joining the movement of realtors getting their time and life back, check us out at joinsimpliHOM.com on the browser, at simpliHOM on socials, or in the description. See you next week.